He sat atop the dinosaur pyramid like a sovereign on a throne. His name? Ceratosaurus. For 20 million years, he was the unchallenged super predator. But now, new science suggests this monster fought his own battle royale against an hero more than twice his size. Now, the hunter becomes the hunted. They're the Earth's first fighters, the ultimate predators. New discoveries in forensic science bring to life the prehistoric art of war. This is Jurassic Fight Club. In 1870, a local farmer is tending his land just outside what is now Canyon City, Colorado, when he suddenly sees strange bones jutting up from the soil. He has no idea he's uncovered a site that is still yielding stunning dinosaur finds today. We now know that this quarry holds the remains of 10 different species of dinosaurs. Nearly all proved to be from plant eaters, but there was something highly unusual here. The skeletons had been ripped apart, and most of the bones were missing. Paleontologists also noted that many of the bones showed unusual gash marks and puncture wounds. What force could have ripped apart so many skeletons? Were scientists looking at an answer?
The discovery of the site near Canyon City is really interesting because so many different species of dinosaurs were all found together. But what makes the site really weird is that the majority of the skeletons that were found, only the neck and the skull were there. And in other cases, only the tails and a few random bones.
In the hunt for dinosaurs, finding complete skeletons is rare. Paleontologist Dr. Larry Martin of the University of Kansas explains why.
The reason we don't find more complete skeletons is exactly the reason why you don't get rich every time you go into a casino. The odds are against you. Its body and skin begin to rot and fall off, and eventually the bones are torn apart by scavengers, maybe taken someplace else and eaten, or they get separated and washed into different areas. Everything that happens to an animal after it dies destroys information, and that's the reason why in the end so little is left. But think of the luck that we have to have simply to find it.
Generally known as peaceful plant eaters, herbivores would not attack each other this way. The investigators look for clues as to what kind of dinosaur might have caused this carnage.
What does the scratches on the leg bone of a dinosaur mean? Are they tooth marks? Are they claw marks? That is the first question. But once we look closer, we start to understand maybe what a tooth mark looks like. There's a certain characteristic to it. Then the question becomes, how do we figure out who made that tooth mark? Obviously, we need to know who are the potential perpetrators. Who else is living in the environment? Who is potentially available to, if you will, commit this crime?
Then a breakthrough. Mixed among the various herbivores' bones was a nearly complete skeleton of a monstrous-looking predator. Ceratosaurus. He stood 13 feet tall and 20 feet long. Compared to later dinosaurs such as Tyrannosaurus rex, his size was smaller. But one feature set this meat-eater apart from all others: a nose horn.
The name Ceratosaurus means horned lizard. It was the first dinosaur found that had a horn on its nose. It wasn't a cone-shaped horn or anything. It was actually a flat blade shape. They're not for combat at all. And if we were looking at the modern rule for an equivalent, we might look at something like the crest on the top of the head of a rooster.
The Ceratosaurus horn was too thin for combat, and like a rooster's crest, was most likely used to attract mates. Its other distinguishing feature was that it had 4 fingers on each hand.
One thing that's unusual when we look at Ceratosaurus is that it's got seemingly extra fingers compared to other of these predatory dinosaurs, which usually have basically 3 fingers on each hand. Ceratosaurus has 4. One of the things that tells us is that it's actually a more primitive dinosaur.
Now, the third and fourth fingers are very small, probably not very functional. In fact, the
hand of Ceratosaurus had shorter fingers, even though it had 4 fingers. It was definitely not as good for slashing prey.
Ceratosaurus was a very deep skull with, for its size, extremely big teeth. So this guy was focusing on the head as a weapon, not its claws.
During the Jurassic period, over 150 million years ago, Ceratosaurus stood out as an apex predator. But the Rocky Mountain region of America where it lived would be unrecognizable to us today.
Back during the late Jurassic, in what's now the Rocky Mountain region, the entire landscape was essentially flat. Rivers were pretty much flowing across the floodplain from west to east. The entire floodplain was probably scattered with these rivers, with ponds and lakes and large meadows.
In between the rivers, it might have been a little bit drier. And we know that this aridity may have caused animals to locate themselves more closely along the rivers and along the belts of vegetation that surround the rivers.
Ceratosaurus was perfectly designed for hunting in the densely forested areas that surrounded the river systems. And we now know that when it attacked, it used one very effective weapon: its blade-like teeth.
When you look at the skull of Ceratosaurus, you'll notice that they have 2 different tooth designs. The teeth in the lower jaw are very typical of predatory dinosaurs. Come to a pretty sharp edge and pretty devastating. But the upper teeth are immensely long. You talk about an oval. This guy's upper teeth are incredibly long, and those teeth are shaped exactly like the blade of a knife. And they're serrated. Those teeth did some dirty work.
These teeth would have certainly ripped through any flesh. And one of the problems with the teeth, though, is they certainly are not as strong as other teeth of theropod dinosaurs laterally. So, a Ceratosaurus may not have grabbed the large animal with its mouth and then shook the prey with its mouth.
Their teeth were razor sharp, but paleontologists discovered something intriguing. They were not designed to cut bone, and its less than powerful hand claws did not appear capable of slashing bone. So could Ceratosaurus have been responsible for the deep gash marks found on the bones from the site? Experts say no.
Ceratosaurus, although a pretty nasty predator, was not really suited for taking on adult-sized stegosaurs or those long-necked sauropods found outside. Certainly it could scavenge off bodies if they were already dead, but most of the teeth marks on the bones were much wider than the teeth of Ceratosaurus, and they went much deeper into the bones than I think a Ceratosaurus could have did. So there's no way Ceratosaurus was a predator that left the majority of these teeth marks.
Ceratosaurus may not have been capable of biting through bone, but there is no doubt it was a successful predator that killed at will. Its remains have been found around the world, which is unusual. This prehistoric monster literally dominated the Earth.
We know it lived in western North America, but recent discoveries have shown it also lived in Europe, and Portugal, and Spain. Close relatives of it lived in South America, and there's even traces that it might have lived in Africa, so it's sort of a wide-ranging dinosaur.
As medium-sized predators, the Ceratosaurus would have found great advantage in hunting in packs. It's a theory that must be analyzed through deduction, because hard evidence is scarce.
There's no real evidence yet that they live together in groups. But those horns tell us something. Those horns, they're not for attack, they're for display. And if you have a display structure, that means at least on occasion you get together and show off to each other and say, look at me, I got the biggest horn. So at least some of the time these guys got together.
When you look at the moderate size of Ceratosaurus, then you compare that to the enormous size of the herbivores that lived with it. I can only draw one conclusion, and that is these predators needed to hunt cooperatively in groups. There's just no way they could take down large herbivores by themselves. The fact that so few have been found makes it hard to say with certainty that they hunted in groups, but I have no problem believing that they did, simply from a survival standpoint.
Then the mystery deepened. CAT scans were conducted on the skull of Ceratosaurus. The results were intriguing. We now know that Ceratosaurus may have been an ambush predator. Hunting in pairs would allow this meat to take on bigger game, or set an ambush to capture small, fast-moving prey.
When we look at the brain structure and recognize that the optic centers of the brain are relatively modest in Ceratosaurus, suggests that vision was probably fairly important for this animal, but was not the key part of its prey capture behavior. What we could suggest then is that Ceratosaurus probably was an ambush predator.
Ceratosaurus is not really a one-on-one confrontation. It relied on ambush. It would either lie in wait, or if it was hunting with a mate, the mate would drive the prey to the hidden dinosaur.
The Ceratosaurus implemented this hunting plan purely on instinct. Its small brain was incapable of strategic thinking.
Well, when you look at the size of the brain and the brain cavity of Ceratosaurus and compare it to its body size, we see that the brain is really quite a modest organ in this animal. This was not a particularly clever animal. This was an animal that was relatively simple by our standards.
It was sort of an earlier model meat eater there, and it doesn't have that more sophisticated brain you see in some of its contemporaries. So although it was pretty strong, it didn't have the claws, it didn't have the brains, and it also didn't have the size of some of the other giant eaters of its environment.
The identity of one of those giant meat eaters was about to be revealed. There, only 20 yards from the spot where they found the Ceratosaurus, scientists uncovered another skeleton. This one was also one of the most terrifying predators of the Jurassic, and it had a key advantage over other dinosaurs: its brain. At this prehistoric feeding ground, multiple plant-eating species are found. And next to them are not one, but two meat-eaters. One is Ceratosaurus, a medium-sized predator with a striking horn design that marked each individual dinosaur as distinctly as fingerprints. The other was over twice its size and used its horns as vicious weapons. It was the terror of the Jurassic.
It was, without a doubt, one of the most terrifying dinosaurs of the late Jurassic. Tyrannosaurus Rex may have ruled the Cretaceous, but Allosaurus was the king of Jurassic.
Well, in any environment, we have on Earth today, we have top predator. Allosaurus was the top predator of the late Jurassic. Northern Earth, your Alaska, you got the brown bear, up in Arctic Alaska, polar bear in Africa, Siberian lion, your Indian tiger, and in western Northern Earth, the Allosaurus.
It had powerful jaws with pretty sharp teeth. It had extremely large claws on its hands, very used for gripping and tearing.
For nearly 20 million years, Ceratosaurus had dominated the region of North America where the Rocky Mountain states are now. But the emergence of Allosaurus, a bigger, faster, stronger adversary, marked the next stage in dinosaur evolution. The Allosaurus was, in fact, a major evolutionary step toward the ultimate monster, the T-Rex. Only 2 feet shorter, it was much more powerfully built than the other predators of the late Jurassic era.
Allosaurus was one of the largest predatory dinosaurs in North America at the end of the Jurassic. He ultimately displaced Ceratosaurus as being the apex predator.
You were face to face with an Allosaurus. First of all, you'd be a big trouble. You got the first thing, you turn around and run. By the time you get it, foot planted on you, planting you face first into the mud, and you reach down, grab on, brace yourself, and basically chop you in half. Put the bite force probably purple with a great white shaw.
Allosaurus represented a considerable upgrade from the Ceratosaurus. In fact, its size was unprecedented for its time. Measuring 35 feet long, 15 feet tall, and weighing up to 5 tons, Allosaurus was the size of a railroad boxcar.
When the first big skeletons of Allosaurus were uncovered, people finally saw that there were meat-eating dinosaurs that were as big as a killer whale, with powerful claws on its hand, truly a terror from the Jurassic period.
Ongoing research suggests another characteristic that made Allosaurus dangerous. These beings lived in packs. This was typical of plant eaters, but less commonly seen in predators.
What's interesting that with Allosaurus, we find large accumulations of Allosaurus bone. That's unusual. We tend not to find that with predatory animals of any kind, not just dinosaurs. And so when we see large accumulations, it makes us wonder what's going on. Did these animals live in large groups? We might even call them flocks, considering they're closely related to birds.
Family groups are very effective for predators because hunting on your own, your chances of success are limited. They're up against some pretty tough critters back then. some of the things they preyed on could have killed them very easily. So by living in a family group and hunting in a family group, it ensures your chances of survival.
A key difference between these dinosaurs is that unlike Ceratosaurus, the Allosaurus was an intelligent creature with the capacity to form strategies.
We're very interested to have the opportunity to CAT scan the skull of Allosaurus, because in terms of its position in the family tree of predatory dinosaurs, it was kind of right in the middle. It wasn't like the more primitive dinosaurs like the Jungleolas, and it wasn't like the really sort of very bird-like dinosaurs like Deinonychus.
Well, Allosaurus was the most sophisticated of the late Jurassic animals. Among the large meaty animals, it probably had the most sophisticated mental capacities. No genius by any means, but smarter probably than any other large predator within its environment. This always given it an advantage over these other predatory dinosaurs. The senses was probably a bit more acute, and the way the mind would process the sensory information probably more efficient.
During the Jurassic period, Allosaurus was the most sophisticated predator in North America. But along with its intellect, it had three incredible weapons. The first was a jagged array of serrated teeth, rooted in jaws that could crush steel.
Its teeth were very powerful and very robust, and serrated on each side. He's got massive jaw muscles. He's designed for cracking through bone.
If it took a bite, it would probably jerk its head back and shake its prey and try to rip out a big chunk of flesh. It would probably quickly weaken and eat to death anything that got a bite. The bites of these animals are really very powerful, and they not only simply bite out a big chunk of meat, but they can crush and swallow whole bones.
They're eating some of the biggest animals the Earth has ever seen. Allosaurus was feeding on sauropods, animals that are multi-times the size of our largest mammal today, the elephant. And they were bringing these animals down.
Unlike humans, who get 2 sets of teeth at a lifetime, Allosaurus constantly replenished their supply, growing new ones when old ones were ripped out during the kill.
It's really amazing to imagine the power involved in fighting the bone and this big around this medium-sized tree trunk and leaving your tooth embedded in there. And of course, once the tooth is lost, Allosaurus can simply regrow them.
Second in Allosaurus' arsenal was its hand claws, a deadly three-pronged rake that ripped through thick hide and literally tore the flesh off its prey.
Hand claws would have been like an eagle on steroids. They're long, they're curved, they're actually very similar to eagle claws as a shape, but backed by huge muscles.
Allosaurus, among the meaty dinosaurs, had the biggest claws of any animal. This is a replica of the claw, and if you look at this, this is the ungulate. This is the actual bone that's under the claw. As you can see, it was much like bear claw, a couple carinae here, very effective in ripping, puncturing, and grasping prey.
The hands of Allosaurus are really impressive. When you look at the hand claws, you notice that they're rounded and they're not sharp at all, which would tend to indicate that these hands are used for grabbing, puncturing, grabbing, and holding on to prey animals versus, say, an animal like Utahraptor that tend to have a sharp blade on the inside of the claw, which may have been used to cut and slash.
Allosaurus relied on speed for catching prey. That was its third weapon. In 2007, paleontologists at England's Manchester University made a breakthrough revelation. By studying the leg, musculature, and mechanics behind them, they were able to peg Allosaurus' top speed at 21 miles per hour. Fast for a large predator.
Allosaurus is built for high-speed locomotion. The animal could propel himself along fairly efficiently. Very good lever system moving itself. Powerful leg muscles pulling back the power line.
Equipped with remarkably sharp senses, the Allosaurus was not only the most powerful fighter of his time, he was also one of the best trackers. But was this the dinosaur responsible for the gash marks of the bones found at the Colorado site?
When you look at a lot of bone in Jurassic quarries of this age, you really see some amazing gouge and bite marks. Some of these
gouge marks on the bones get close to an inch wide and almost as deep. And these are all caused by Allosaurus, who are no doubt eating these carcasses. Just really easy to kind of imagine the power and size of the animals that can leave these gouges in these large bones.
The bite marks on the bones found in the Colorado quarry were the same size and shape as the teeth of Allosaurus, and the deep gashes in them were similar to the shape of claws of this dinosaur as well. And since the skeleton of Allosaurus was found in the quarry, there was little doubt that this dinosaur was responsible for those bone injuries.
It was a vital piece of the puzzle. This was an Allosaurus killing ground, which would have been clearly marked by the scratches it left on the trees and the droppings it left on the ground. Why had the Ceratosaurus encroached on its territory? Can experts reconstruct what could have happened here?
We have a number of fossil sites that prove that Allosaurus and Ceratosaurus share the same environment. The most famous is the Cleveland Quarry, Utah, where the skeleton of the Ceratosaurus was found mixed among those of Allosaurus. So I have no doubt these two predators came in contact with each other and competed for the same resources. I don't think Allosaurus played well with others, and so it makes sense to me that it would attempt to kill any competitor in its territory. And so that may be what happened to the Ceratosaurus found in the Colorado quarry.
These animals lived in the same environment at the same time, and potentially would have been competitors. One way to decrease competition is for each of them to actually take or specialize in different prey.
Predators typically hunted within their own territory to avoid life-threatening clashes. Finding both the Ceratosaurus and the Allosaurus at the Colorado site suggests that they were driven to hunt these same grounds by extreme conditions such as drought. The close proximity of their bones points to a titanic confrontation. Territory of almost 30 miles in radius as his domain. The Ceratosaurus was released to its 15-mile territory, only venturing into unknown land when starving. In November 2007, experts compared these two super predators.
At Allosaurus, Ceratosaurus, we're looking at fundamentally two different animals, different ancestors. The Ceratosaurus comes from a group of dinosaurs that's much more ancient. The Allosaurus, on the other hand, is a group of dinosaurs that appeared later in time and has a slightly better body build.
Allosaurus on average seems to be a little bit more heavily built than what we see in most of the Ceratosaurus specimens. And so in a sense, Allosaurus is a sturdier kind of animal.
Ceratosaurus wasn't a massive creature, but it certainly was an effective predator. We can look at modern jaguars to see animals that sort of play the same role that Ceratosaurus does. Jaguars take on medium to smaller prey, but it's hesitant to attack really big things. Now compare that to Allosaurus, who's much heavier and more powerful. If Ceratosaurus was the jaguar of Jurassic, then Allosaurus was the tiger. Like modern tigers, Allosaurus was the ultimate predator of its domain. It could take on anything it wanted.
Even though it is over 5 times as heavy as the Ceratosaurus, the Allosaurus had much longer legs, which made it almost as fast.
In a foot race, Ceratosaurus would probably win. Agility-wise, because it is a smaller body mass, basically their body form is very similar. But Ceratosaurus is going to be a little bit smaller, probably be a bit more agile than Allosaurus.
Because Ceratosaurus is not as robust as Allosaurus, he's a little bit quicker, but certainly more agile. So even though Allosaurus is a fast dinosaur, he's not nearly as quick as Ceratosaurus.
That massive tail of Allosaurus gave it remarkable speed and agility for its size.
Is a slightly more advanced, more specialized eater. Its tail is a little more adapted for agility. It has more of a tapering to its tail than a deep tail, and therefore can use its counterbalance better in order to turn quickly.
What's interesting is that when we actually look inside the head, we see an inner ear structure that suggests that these kind of quick movements are more important for Allosaurus than for Ceratosaurus.
But to offset smaller size and less powerful flying, Ceratosaurus relied on a special adaptation for survival. It hunted in pairs.
It would be unusual for predators like Ceratosaurus to hunt in pairs. Smaller predators are much more effective when hunting in groups, and we see that in members of the raptor family. They offset their small sizes by working in a group to take on larger prey. Now, these dinosaurs were much larger than raptors, so chances are they would not hunt in the really large groups. But since they're related to birds, then it would make sense they would probably hunt with a mate.
Being faster, more agile than prey was an important attribute, but the ability to ambush prey was a much more lethal hunting strategy. It was also more efficient, conserving the energy that would be spent in the chase.
Predators today seek out and hide along game trails. Those are trails that herbivores use to get to and from food and water. Well, dinosaurs like Allosaurus and Ceratosaurus would have also used these trails to their advantage. They could find and grow trees and use them for cover as they wait for prey to walk down the trail, or they could work as a team to drive prey along the trail towards the waiting mate. Game trails are like road maps of the dinner table as far as predators are concerned.
Using game trails also protected the dinosaurs from unexpected obstacles, allowing them to focus solely on the hunt. While it's theorized Ceratosaurus would stick almost exclusively to these trails, the Allosaurus was large enough to venture off them in safety.
Their different structures suggest different killing styles. Allosaurus may have actually concentrated on maybe larger prey. Ceratosaurus with longer teeth, somewhat more delicate gracile build, suggested it might have actually been feeding on somewhat smaller prey.
Look at animal designs today, and you'll find that most predators are specialized in what they hunt. Although they take advantage of any food source they come across, they're really suited for only certain types of prey. It's not a coincidence you find cheetahs living alongside gazelles. The same goes with lions and wildebeests. Each predator is ideally suited to capture and kill their particular prey, and so we can apply that same behavior and hunting methods to prehistoric predators.
But would a Ceratosaurus attack a larger, more powerful adversary like Allosaurus? Investigators would look towards modern animals for the answer.
Would a Ceratosaurus take on an Allosaurus? Well, yes, depending on the circumstances. If Ceratosaurus was protecting a kill or defending territory, then I believe they would certainly stand their ground against Allosaurus. If they outnumbered the Allosaurus, I have no doubt they would stand and fight. But recreating what would have actually happened is difficult because so few clues can be found. The bones tell us things like how big the animal was, whether they ate plants or meat, if it was fast or slow, but they don't tell us everything that actually happened. So when we recreate what may have happened, we do our very best to ensure that there's a basis for reality. We use as much science as possible, and we rely on our understanding of modern animal behaviors so that what you see is a realistic depiction.
The Ceratosaurus and the Allosaurus descend from the same crocodile-like ancestor. In fact, some experts believe the Ceratosaurus was more comfortable in the water, where it could use its flexible tail and four-fingered hands to swim and fish. This would make the meeting of the Ceratosaurus and Allosaurus an incredibly uncommon event. When scientists find Allosaurus bones, they almost always show signs of breaks, bites, and other injuries, which indicates that they were frequent findings. Ceratosaurus bones are usually found unmarked. For them, contact is a last resort. The Ceratosaurus was a cautious dinosaur, with eyes placed closer to the sides of its head to widen its field of vision and help it spot potential trouble. Perhaps they would only venture into dangerous territory when driven by terrible hunger.
And Tyrannosaurus rex would have marked the boundaries of their territory with scent marks like modern predators do. These scent marks were a clear warning to intruders that they were not welcome.
With its eyes placed more to the side, the Ceratosaurus had more depth perception looking straight ahead. It was best able to see prey in front of it when standing still to stabilize its vision.
One of the favorite hunting methods of Ceratosaurus is the hide-and-seek method. She'll hide in dense grove of trees along the game trail, standing motionless. Only thing moving on her are going to be her eyes. She doesn't want to give away her position.
While While the female is hiding, her mate moves to circle behind a potential prey. He will then try to flush their quarry and chase it towards the hiding female.
We see the same sort of behavior in mountain lions, where the male will simply act as a distraction to drive prey towards the weak female. It's a great way to ambush prey while limiting the potential harm to the sister source. And they know that the prey is going to take the easiest route of escape, and that's going to be on that danger trail.
Once the male knows that the prey has gotten on the game trail, the chase ensues. The Ceratosaurus is trying to make as much noise as he can. He's trying to drive the prey into the waiting arms of his mate.
The male Ceratosaurus will use a loud roar to drive the prey and alert his hiding mate.
She has no idea that she's laying an ambush for the prey. She herself is being preyed upon. 35-foot long, 4-ton Allosaurus is within striking distance. He slowly begins to move up behind her, trying to be as quiet as he can.
The Allosaurus's feet are heavily packed with rubbery calloused skin. This allows even the 4-ton Allosaurus to sneak up on its victim.
The foot of Allosaurus is perfectly designed to muffle the sound of its approach if it needed to be quiet.
It also allows him to grip the ground more firmly, preventing missteps, which would alert its quarry.
The female senses something is behind her, but it's too late.
The Allosaurus exerts 1-ton pressure with its body, a leading force.
All she sees is the wide open mouth of the Allosaurus, who crushes her by the neck, snapping the bones as if they were twigs. Her neck is broken, she's completely lifeless, and slumped to the ground.
The Ceratosaurus may be only due by its own brain capacity, only able to concentrate on one thing at a time. It is too slow to recognize this danger.
Now the Allosaurus can turn his attention to the male, who is rushing in, thinking the female will jump out at any moment. He knows where the ambush spot is. He stops because he doesn't see her.
The Allosaurus bellows loudly at the male Ceratosaurus, likely louder than the roar of a jumping jet taking off. This deafening sound is meant to warn off adversaries.
He senses something's wrong but has no idea what. He catches a slight movement. As he turns to look, he sees the silhouette of a massive Allosaurus that is now closing in.
The Allosaurus is a classic hammer. Its claws can be used to hold prey, but its teeth are its main weapon.
The Allosaurus' jaws snap shut within inches of the Ceratosaurus, and he's sick. The Allosaurus turns his body and the Ceratosaurus lines up to try to figure out where the mate is. The male can only assume she's run off, or worse, the Allosaurus is killed her.
Like many species, the Ceratosaurus probably made for life, but now he can concentrate only on survival.
He knows that in his dense forest, he can maneuver a lot quicker. Using trees as defense, he ducks in and out, trying to get in close enough to attack the Allosaurus. The Allosaurus stands its ground and simply leans that monster's body forward, snapping at the mouth every time the Ceratosaurus steps from behind a tree. Ceratosaurus looks at his attacker and recognizes the two most vulnerable spots. He realizes that if he can outflank the Allosaurus and jump on its side, the Allosaurus has no defense. He'll be able to leap onto his side and rip him open. His long, stiff tail is designed like a balancing belt. He can leap onto the side of that Allosaurus and use that tail to balance while he's up there. It would be like the world's first rodeo rider, only this rodeo ends in death.
Judging by its size and skeleton, the Ceratosaurus would have been able to jump almost 20 feet in the air. He may be able to surprise the Allosaurus, who is thought to have a vertical just over 10 feet. It is the Ceratosaurus' only hope. Has a lower jaw that is able to stand out with the bites, so that he can swallow giant prey. His size allows him to chase his biggest game. He is not used to fighting small, more manageable opponents.
so big, all he cares about is getting his teeth on. Once he's got you, you're done. Game over. The claw drives home, directly into the Allosaurus. The Allosaurus roars in terror as it stands upright, blood gushing from the wound. Now the fight has changed. It's personal. The Ceratosaurus now has the perfect opportunity to outflank the Allosaurus. Ceratosaurus moves quickly around and leaps into the air, landing on the side of the Allosaurus. The Allosaurus is looking to kill this animal, not chase him away, but to kill him. Allosaurus, using his mass, is able to shift and shudder and ultimately throw the Ceratosaurus to the ground. The Allosaurus lunges forward, but then changes position halfway to his target. The Ceratosaurus fails to react quickly enough. The enormous jaws of the Allosaurus clamp down the shoulder of the Ceratosaurus. The Ceratosaurus roars in pain and is able to use its elongated upper teeth to slash the jaw of the Allosaurus. The Allosaurus will not release its prey.
The Allosaurus will not just bite straight down. He will also move his jaws side to side to cause slashing moves.
Grabbing the Ceratosaurus with his jaws, the Allosaurus picks his body up and shakes it like a rag doll. The Ceratosaurus slumps to the ground, and the Allosaurus towers over its prey. Allosaurus uses the enormous claws on its feet to disembowel its helpless prey. Allosaurus has won the battle and has reclaimed this forest as its own.
Over the next 20 million years, Allosaurus dethroned Ceratosaurus as the most lethal creature on planet Earth. But as powerful as it was no match against Mother Nature. The end of the Jurassic brought an end to the reign of Allosaurus.
Reason Ceratosaurus vanished in North America, Allosaurus vanished, is a real mystery. And someday we may find in one spot that skipped dirt preserve that shows what happened in a 20 million year gap. For now, we don't have it.
The Allosaurus and Ceratosaurus may succumb to disease, climate change, or new predators. But one thing is indisputable. No matter how mighty a creature, planet Earth itself will always have the last word.
Big animals, like Allosaurus and Ceratosaurus, are the first to suffer during a dramatic climatic change. Because of their sheer size, they require a certain amount of food and a certain amount of water. When the environment changed in the late Jurassic about 120 million years ago, it really caused problems for the bigger animals.
It is a basic idea of nature that has been repeated through the ages. Animals grow increasingly large to dominate their environment, but when that environment changes, they are the ones least able to adapt. Next week on Jurassic Fight Club. It was predator versus prey in a 165 million year old battle of survival. But one killer in particular was so efficient, so deadly.